Good morning,
I would say
Jerry.
your column leans towards the likelihood of it going wrong in the end, and you kind of place it on both his most recent history, his stints post-Orlando, and the Wizards. Talk about kind of this combination coming together.
Yeah, I think they need to acknowledge that it's more likely than not that it could go wrong. To what degree, I'm not sure. I mean, they'd be I think they'd be an absolute disaster on the court, but another 43-win season with Dwight Howard would not be good enough. So I think you have to look at it and say there are some unique challenges here, both within the Wizards locker room and within Howard's recent history. And as an organization, the Wizards have to go about being proactive in attacking that. If they don't, there's no telling what people will know. I mean, you'll know if you see inconsistent and just the vibe of the team is off. If they don't seem like they're up for games, you'll know something is going on in that locker room.
You do write that the most likely scenario is going to end with the underachieving covert drama and a nasty divorce. But you also say that the best of Howard fits the Wizards perfectly. Tell us why you think that he actually does fit perfectly with them.
Yeah, it's kind of a I guess a chicken and egg type thing. I mean, what's going to be first, the best of them or the worst of them? But when you look at Dwight, you see a guy who is the greatest rebounder of his generation. Even though he doesn't block a ton of shots, he still blocks shots. He protects the rim at a high level. He knows how to be big and challenge people at the rim. He's got a great defensive IQ. He's going to understand your coverages, and he's someone who studies that and takes a lot of pride in it. And he can set screens and finish above the rim in pick-and-roll scenarios. So you look at all those factors and you say, that's an upgrade. It's a serious upgrade, as a matter of fact, over what you had in Gortat. But, you still get some of the other things that he's not as good at that could cause some major problems with the way the team operates right now.
I would say also an issue, and you write about some of the issues with him. I don't know that you tackle this in your column, is end of games, he's a brutal free throw shooter. And end of games now in modern day NBA, you see a lot of teams, and let's just go with the top teams, like in their conference, Boston. They'll play Al Horford at center. He's going to be out at the three-point line. So some of those strengths that Dwight Howard has is an interior presence are taken away at end of games in modern day NBA.
Yeah, you look at him, I think he played 30 minutes a game last year in Charlotte. Quite honestly, I think the traditional center who moves his feet like a center and who shoots free throws like a center and who doesn't stretch the floor like a center, that guy is a 25 to 30-minute player. He might play a little less than 30 minutes with the Wizards. The Wizards, underneath all of this, they've been doing stuff to make themselves more versatile and better at playing small ball. And I would assume that they're going to finish most games in that way. If you look even going back to Houston, Atlanta, Charlotte, it's not like Dwight Howard plays 10 minutes of the fourth quarter anyway. And I think that's something that he's come to terms with.
Were you surprised when you heard the Wizards were interested in Dwight?
I wasn't surprised because, you talk about bang for buck and you look at his productivity, scoring and rebounding, and you could say, I could see why they could do that. I do think that you could make a legitimate argument that if you had, if you were brave enough to play small, that you could figure out a better situation, a better roster without him. But I think ultimately this tells you, number one, they don't want to start Jan Mahinmi, which raises questions of, why don't you use the stretch provision on him? And number two, I think more than anything, it's just, that they were able to add a guy who could make an impact for $5.3 million, and that was a bargain that they couldn't pass up on.